Well, once again, the Mardi Gras revelry is disturbed by violence. Joe Raleigh is live in the French Quarter with more. Hey, Joe.
Good morning, Cindy. Well, while there was no violence here in the quarter on Mardi Gras Day itself, a shooting did disrupt the relatively calm cleanup process. Now, police tell us that about 30 minutes after midnight, someone fired shots into a crowd of people here in the 100 block of Bourbon Street, right at Canal. Our own ABC 26 crew was actually packing up after a long Mardi Gras day when they saw a stampede of people running down Bourbon away from Canal and the shooting scene. Police seem to be collecting a pile of clothes off the street afterwards. They tell us the victim, a 21-year-old man, was shot in the back. Paramedics took him to the hospital where he is in stable condition this morning. There is no suspect or motive at this time, and while police are looking at surveillance video from nearby businesses to identify the shooter, they want to encourage anyone who saw or heard anything to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 822-1111. Remember, you do not have to give your name, and you may be eligible for a cash reward. Cindy?
All right, thanks so much, Joe. Well, two teens are behind bars this morning after a shooting in the Garden District. The shots broke out just before 2 p.m. yesterday at the corner of St. Charles and 2nd Street. Bullets hit 7 parade spectators, even grazing a 20-month-old baby's back. Witnesses say they can't believe it happened on Mardi Gras.
Unfortunate, and I guess it points to the fact that some individuals are so brazen it doesn't matter. That even our physical presence is not necessarily determined all the time.
We were just actually talking about how good this Mardi Gras has been. No violence, nobody getting hurt, fight shots, and all of a sudden this happened. You know, this is why people don't want to come to New Orleans. It's sad.
18-year-old Louis Lazone and 19-year-old Mark Brooks have been booked with 7 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Well, midnight meant the end of Mardi Gras. We're going to head back out to the French Quarter where our Joe Raleigh was there as police shut down Bourbon Street. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Cindy. Good morning again. Of course, tourism officials here in the metro area say that this was probably the most heavily attended Mardi Gras since Hurricane Katrina. But, of course, the party has to end for Ash. And with that, law enforcement officials began their annual walk down Bourbon Street with New Orleans Police Chief Warren Riley and State Police Colonel Mike Edmondson leading the way. The officers, troopers, and deputies gently encouraged the Bourbon Street partiers to head home. The whole experience was actually very interesting. The officers got mostly applause and a few good-natured boos as they walked. And if you notice, they even let me walk with them. I'm the blue shirt in the middle of that dark blue field right there. You could almost call this the last parade of Carnival 2009. And that would make the royalty for this crew of cleanup, Sidney Torres, of course. He followed behind law enforcement, riding one of his SDT waste disposal trucks, getting applause just like Rex himself. Of course, the whole walk down Bourbon Street is mostly a symbolic gesture these days, since most of the bars do not actually close at midnight, and there are plenty of places to continue partying. One trooper actually told me it's really just a way to thin the crowd a little bit. In fact, if you look right now live down Bourbon Street, they are just now getting to the point where they can clean up the street. It is still dirty out here. The street is still full of people until about 4 o'clock this morning, so just about an hour ago. People were still out here at about 4:30. The bar right below us finally closed, so it's finally calming down here in the French Quarter, and we're ready to observe the Lenten season. Cindy?
Lots of work ahead of them. Thanks a lot, Joe. Republicans chose Governor Bobby Jindal to respond to the president's speech to the nation last night. Once again, Governor Jindal says too much wasteful spending in the stimulus bill will cost Americans down the road with a bigger debt and higher taxes. He says the real solution lies with individual Americans, not the government.
That's why Republicans put forward plans to create jobs by lowering income tax rates for working families, cutting taxes for small businesses, strengthening incentives for businesses to invest in new equipment and to hire new workers, and stabilizing home values by creating a new tax credit for home buyers. These plans would cost less and create more jobs.
Well, no doubt Governor Jindal's speech will fuel speculation about any presidential aspirations as the Republicans consider him a rising star. Senator Mary Landrieu didn't waste any time responding to Jindal's response. She says the idea of private individuals going it alone against a recession would lead to disaster.
In the days of thinking that the private sector only can move this government forward, those are the failed policies of the past. Unfettered private markets, over-reliance on the private sector is what got us in large measure, in the trouble that we're in.
Landrieu also said that the president's push to develop alternative fuels will help create more jobs in the private sector. Those are your top stories. Now back to the desk with more on what's coming up on the show. Hey, guys.
Hello. Hey.